Welcome back to the Behind the Well show. Roger Abel with Elias Randall. Well, Elias, we're almost 3/4 of the way through the year. There's a lot of big headlines out. We're gonna talk about interest rates and how it affects borrowers. But I read a article on MSN, and big surprise that one in five people have taken financial advice from AI. And I think that everybody around would agree that AI has been a hot topic for the entire year. It's been a hot topic for a couple of years, but now it's actually showing up in the normal everyday life of people. And it's no surprise that at some point people are going to try to take financial advice from AI. And I have a good little story about how AI's even started to get into my personal world more than it did before. So this is last weekend. My daughter, 2 weekends ago, my daughter went boating with a friend and their family. So went to the beach, came home, everything's good. The next day, it looks like she just got destroyed by bugs. Okay. Like bug bites all over her legs. And I mean, I was actually worried she was having an allergic reaction because she does have allergies and carries an EpiPen for a nut allergy. And my wife's like, we got to call the doctor. I'm like, no, we don't. I took a picture. I put it into ChatGTP. I told him the symptoms. I said, swimming at an Iowa reservoir. They were on a beach. They don't itch. They don't bother. What could it be? Came back as sand fleas.
Huh.
And so then I typed in, what do I do to treat it? So I think it was hydrocortisone cream and Zyrtec. So
What's Zyrtec?
it's like an allergy medication.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which we had because my daughter used to take it every night. One of the parents at the bus stop is an operating room surgeon. So general knowledge of medicine, but if you ever ask a doctor something out of their field, they're gonna be like, I don't really know. So go to the bus stop because my wife was pretty skeptical of believing those results. What should we do? He goes, I'd give her some Zyrtec. Okay, so verified. Fast forward, doesn't go away for like a couple of days. So we go to the doctor. And the doctor's stumped. He's like, I don't know what this is. But here's what you should give her. Hydrocortisone cream and Zyrtec. So my wife's like, I think it really was chiggers or sand fleas, one of those two. But rewind 3 years ago, what would you had to do? You would have went to Google. You'd have done a Google search. You would have actually had to try to find photos that looked like that. And then you had to research, what do I have to do for a remedy to this? Or you would have just went to the doctor. We solved this in like 30 seconds. So
That's
it's already
amazing. That's a good application for artificial intelligence.
Now, that said, like, there's no guarantee it's correct, but I think people also fail to recognize that there's no guarantee it's correct at the doctor. And, one of the things that we did in that case, though, is we kind of trusted, but we're still verifying. Like, oh, yeah, it says this is what happened. We better verify? And why do you verify with HI or AI?
Well, it's pretty new yet, and it can only give you answers based on the things it knows and the data it has.
Well, some of the problems, it can hallucinate. Like AI can hallucinate. Did you know that?
I did not know that was a term that can describe AI.
It can hallucinate data, give wrong answers, and it's not all accurate.
Why is it called hallucinating data?
It just doesn't know how to compute it and just kind of goes off the rail. Like that actually happens. Okay.
So it's not considered just giving wrong information.
It's called hallucinating. Molly might have a better term for it. Maybe we can address it in the next episode. Goes back to this article that I caught in MSN, where nearly 1 in 5 people who have taken financial advice from AI, they've lost money by doing it. Because what is human nature? We're all looking for a quick fix. Some of the top terms that are going in, that they're putting into AI and utilizing for financial advice, how do I get rich quick? What are the best investments? There's actually an AI firm out there called Pearl.com that said 20% of Americans have lost more than $100, but Gen Z is even higher. Gen Z is 27%. So 1 in 3 Gen Zers have lost money by utilizing AI. And I know when we were at the LPL conference recently, one of the big topics of not contention, but focuses was on artificial intelligence and what role is it going to play in our lives as financial advisors. And at the end of the day, the role it's really going to play is advisors with AI and advisors without AI. AI is not going to take over financial advising for people because people still want to trust and verify. So what's the advisor do in a world of AI? We're going to make sure the data is correct, because if the data that goes in is garbage, it spits out more garbage, right? But also we're going to make sure that the data that's coming out is accurate data. But I think what's really incredible is people are already starting to use AI for financial decisions.
People like personal relationships. AI's not going to replace professionals that are helping people with stuff. It's going to complement what they're doing, but people still value personal relationships. And I just don't think people want to trust robots.
I don't think
I think there's just, maybe that's oversimplification, but guess what? I don't want to talk to a robot about stuff I want advice on. I want to talk to people I know. I know them and I like them and I trust them.
Well, here's the other thing about AI. It's programmed by some human. AI can have a bias. How do you control biases that are created by the implementation of it?
I don't know.
I know. I'm just saying that's one of the issues with it. So anyway, I think AI.
I want to point out one other thing.
Yeah.
Maybe another takeaway is, what questions are you asking? Because if one of the top searches is how to save money or top investments to get rich quick, maybe you're not asking the right questions. I mean, think about it, to get rich quick. How many people really in life have gotten rich quick?
It's mostly
people have done it. There are examples of people who had an idea or did something and it happened quick. However fast quick is for people, but that's not a great question to ask.
There's a level of luck involved in getting rich quick.
Yeah.
I think you're spot on. The question to ask is, how do I determine my savings rate? If I want to live on, I don't know, let's put it in there. What if you type in, I want $80,000 of income in retirement. How much do I need to save? I am 46.
Yeah.
How much?
My speculation is going to go off the 4% rule.
Well, and then once again, what is that? Is that optimal advice or just general? It's general advice. Let's see what it says. Do I need saved to have 80,000 of income in retirement? Retire at 65. Yep. Guess what? First thing that came up, decided safe withdrawal rate, 4% rule, which if you've watched our show at all, you know how we feel about the 4% rule. One, it's not a rule. It was actually a back test created by a financial advisor in the 80s that somehow this entire industry of professionals latched onto. He's revised that 2 different times. The most recent time when he tested it, 4.7% was the worst. And most of the time, people are able to take closer to 7% of their portfolio out. So is that the advice you want? It's the advice you want if you want a suboptimal retirement.
That's the AI advice right now.
So I just thought it was an interesting article that people are already leaning into it. And it's not a surprise that Gen Z are the adopters of this. With that said, there are some useful things with AI that a trained professional can help you decide and get you better outcomes. You know, we use some tax planning software that it's not something that an advisor can't do manually, but why would you? Right? Extracts the data, breaks down all the income tax bracket, breaks down IRMA, breaks down all of these different, potential highlighted spots to improve a client's picture from a tax standpoint. I'll give you a good example. I showed it to my CPA, like the results. He goes, yeah, that's what we already do. But they don't do it with AI. It takes them hours to do it, and they bill out at $495 an hour. He's like, yeah, we provide those same things. Okay. But at what cost?
Provide it more efficiently and bill the same hours.
Right. So I just thought that was a good article to kind of break the ice, because I think everybody's starting to utilize AI in their everyday life more and more and more. And our takeaway is there's going to be advisors with AI and advisors without, and there will be a difference. It doesn't mean the outcomes are worse. What it means is those advisors are going to be much less efficient.
They will be. And I've already decided I'm not going to be one that doesn't try and grow with the times and learn how to use it.
You're a high adopter of technology, Elias.
I've transitioned over the years. I'm better at it now than I used to be.
So it's funny, when you came here, I actually thought you knew something about technology. I didn't realize you were pretty technology illiterate. I'm not being mean, but I'm like, he's a young guy. He knows how to work technology. Nah, not really.
No, he's using a flip phone. No, I had an iPhone by then. So
what model do you have right now?
I don't know. This phone's got to be 5 or 6 years old at this
iPhone
point.
5, a legacy model.
Original.
Dude, if you hold on to
iPhone original.
It'd probably be worth some money someday if you hold on to it.
Yeah, I think I do need to get a new one. My battery's starting to not last as long as I'd like it to.
I get a new one every 2 years. In fact, if you get a new one every 2 years, you actually get a pretty good trade-in for your current phone. The last time I got one, it only cost me like $300, and I got an iPad and an iWatch with it for free.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go get a phone on Black Friday.
That's the day to go.
Some free stuff.
When I went to Verizon last year on Black Friday,
just gonna take a deep breath and deal with it, and I'm gonna go do it.
I'll go with you.
I'll despise the fact that I'm in a store though on a Friday. Well, I don't know if it's a holiday everywhere, but where we live, it's a holiday because it's the Friday after Thanksgiving, and Iowa plays Nebraska in football. So
I'm gonna tell you, it was dead when I went there. I was expecting it to be chaos.
And Did you go first thing in the morning or what time?
Nah, like 10 o'clock, but my phone wasn't working. I didn't have a choice. I had to go. This is not last year, the year before. And I went in there and I was dreading it. And I walked in, I'm like, there's nobody here.
Did you just say you would go with me? You're not going to go with
me. Yeah, because I'm getting a new phone. My 2 years is up.
You're going on Black Friday?
Yeah, my 2 years is up.
Oh, okay.
And so the guy told me that I was working. He's like, the best deal of the year is always on Black Friday.
Yeah.
So I'm going to I'm going to upgrade iWatches, upgrade iPads. Like, it's going to be awesome.
I'm going to get an iPad, and I'm going to tell my kids, this is Dad's iPad, so you can't touch it. And then I'm going to leave it on the coffee table in the living room. So they have to look at it. You're going to leave the candy
jar out? Good one.
Can't use it.
Yeah, good luck. Another thing that I think, I heard this the other day from somebody, a lot of people still think their student loans are going to get forgiven. And
I was hoping the last of ours would, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, but here's what's really ironic. And I think this actually goes more to the current state of the economy. The number of people who have student loans that have paused their payments have doubled since 2024.
Yeah. And I think what your comment just was, you're kind of alluding to that. Maybe people are pausing because they think forgiveness.
I think there's a percentage of people that still think they're getting forgiven.
Yeah.
But I think in conjunction with that, Elias, because they're in forbearance for like 4 or 5 years since COVID, right? 4 years. They can't afford to pay them. So they're applying for hardship saying, I can't pay these loans because they bought a house they probably couldn't afford. They racked up a bunch of credit cards. Credit cards are at all-time highs. I think it just goes to show there's a lot of people struggling to make ends meet. And this is a sign of it. When people don't, what's the first thing you're not going to pay? Your student loan. You're going to pay, you're going to make your house payment, put food on your table, make sure you have shelter. I mean, and you're not going to give your car up. You can't get to work. So the first thing you're going to be like, I need to delay or pay student loan.
And how long was the, when they just general across the board said you don't have to make student loan payments? Was it for 2 years?
2 or 3?
I think it started. Yeah. I think it started
2020,
in 2020.
ended in 24, maybe.
Yeah. And people got used to that extra. I mean, you know how people are now. You have a different lifestyle. That wasn't part of your budget, and now you got to bring it back in. That's hard to do. The best way to handle your, especially student loan debt, just get it paid off. Get a plan to just get it paid off. Just pay it and be done with it.
Okay, pay it off or don't get them. I have to tell you, there's a post on Facebook the other day, and the individual, and this is word for word what it said, I'm heartbroken to report the news that the maximum student loan available now is like $94,000 because of the big, beautiful bill that passed. Heartbroken to share this news that the most you can borrow for college is $94,000. And
for a year.
No, total. 94,000 federal grants without going into other stuff. 94,000. Okay. There's other outside stuff, but from the federal student loan program, 94,000.
Okay. Yeah.
At least that's how this read. And I don't respond much. I just responded back because I wasn't sure like what she was heartbroken about. What are you heartbroken about? Like, that's all I said. She's like, well, college costs more than that. I go, really? I didn't say that to her. I'm like, so I did some research. And I went and pulled up.
There's other places to borrow money.
Well, it goes to the point. Why do you have to borrow money? So
were you arguing with someone on Facebook?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I just was curious why she was so heartbroken that we don't want to put 18-year-olds $100,000 in debt and look at the problem that we have now. Can't pay your bills, can't have a house, all these other things. I reached out, or I went online and I looked up what's University of Iowa tuition, $10,616 a year. Community college, $5,860 something a year. And I just posted back. I'm like, well, I don't know where college tuition's $94,000 per year in the state of Iowa, but you can go to a public school for $10,000 in state. And she immediately posted back, didn't want to have a conversation. You need to check your numbers. You're wrong. Blocked me. My numbers are right from University of Iowa's website. But point of this is, we get this.
So you were arguing with someone on Facebook.
It just drives me crazy. Like, that was wild. But listen. We get the question all the time, and it leads us into our actual listener question, right? It's from a guy named Rick. And he asks, our oldest son is a freshman in high school this year. We've saved a little bit for college. Does it make sense to prioritize that for a few years instead of funneling extra money into our investments? Okay. So let's break it down a little bit. Most parents we work with struggle with this unless they really have their own financial house in order. Right? There's a subset of people that at 30 years old and they have kids, they're already got the right savings rate, they're doing good, they start saving for their kids' college. That's not the vast majority of people. The vast majority of people are working to get their own finances in order in their own retirement. And then we get to this point and then they ask what they should do. And I think our standard response, Elias, is, we need to make sure you're taken care of first. There are ways for your kids to get funds. And, as I thought about that question, I thought back to my wife. She has a friend. Okay. She put herself through 4 years of school at University of Iowa, put herself through law school, and she came out with no debt. She didn't get scholarships. Her parents didn't pay for it. She did it. College is not a full-time job. And maybe it's a full-time experience. It's not a full-time job. There's really no reason why anybody needs to take $94,000 in debt for an undergraduate degree. It's all choice. And here's the problem. Here's a real problem. Those kids who sign up for those loans, they don't actually know what they're signing up for. They've been told, this is how we pay for college.
I agree with you. I agree.
So I got kind of fired up. And it was leading into Rick's question, and I just thought about that happened the other day, and I just don't understand why the default option is borrow $100,000 to get educated. Not saying education's not important, but what's important is getting an education without going $94,000 in debt. My parents didn't pay for all my college. I had to pay for it. My parents paid my tuition. I had to pay everything else.
I would ask Rick, here's the first question I would ask Rick. Are you on track for your own personal financial independence? And I truly don't believe, my personal opinion, your financial independence should be more important than your kids' education beyond the K-12, right? When they're growing up at your house, you're pretty responsible for their education. Beyond that, I don't think anyone really, again, personal opinion, but like, I don't feel like I personally owe it to my kids to help them. Now, are there pros if I do that? Yeah, they're going to have less student debt. They're going to be set up for success. But for me, I would not prioritize college savings and helping with education over my own personal financial goals. That's just me.
Well, you made a comment. You're like, you're setting them up for success. It's arbitrary. Like, a college degree doesn't mean success. What really
success
defines
from, like, if you pay for, right, you could go get a degree and not be successful. If I pay for all of it, you don't have any debt. So you're starting out in a better financially, financial advantage, maybe not set up for success.
I totally agree with that. Like, you didn't put him behind the 8 ball. But the question is, did you put yourself behind the 8 ball?
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Yeah, we talked about this in a previous episode.
Yeah.
So here's my take. Here's how you figure out, Rick. This is really easy to figure out, actually. It's an easy answer. You get with a planner. You sit down and first look at where you are financially. Are you on track? What's your savings rate, right? If your probability of success is ultra high, like, you come in and you have a 95% probability of success, then we can go look and figure out, all right, if we stopped our savings for the next 4 years, we stopped saving for the next 4 years and we put it all towards our kids' college, what happens to our probability of success in retirement? It might be a non-event, but instead of guessing, have the advisor who has the technology help you make a good decision. And I think there are so many parents out there that struggle with this question right here. What do I do? Because no one gives them a cut and dry answer. You can figure this out, whether you can do it and not put yourself in harm. And here's what it might take, Elias. It might take, you're going to stop your retirement savings for 4 years to help pay for this, right? And the financial plan might come back and say, well, instead of retiring at 63, you're going to have to retire at 65. And now you can balance, is that worth it to pay for my child's education and work an extra 2 years? But now you're able to see the cause and effect consequences and make good decisions versus guessing as to what's going to happen.
And regardless of the decision you make, when you retire, your children are not going to help you with your lifestyle. So regardless of the decision you make, that's something you may help them with college. There's not going to be an exchange of, oh, you helped me get through college, I'm going to help you retire. It's not how it works.
I can also tell you to this, like, kids having some skin in the game makes a big difference. Seriously, they need to have some skin in the game.
Huge difference.
If you don't have any skin in the game, you don't take it serious. I'll use myself. My dad was taught at a community college. I didn't want to go in debt, so I went to community college. It was all paid for, living with mom and dad. I mean, it was basically free. It was a choice I made. I've told the story. I went to a private college. I really wanted to go there. I went there on a visit. They told me it was going to be $44,000 a year. I said, no, thank you. Long story short. So I go to community college. I didn't take it serious when I was there because I didn't have any skin in the game. Like, what was going to happen if I didn't do well? Nothing. Like, I'm not out any money. So get my community college done, went to University of Iowa School of Business. Well, guess what happened? Now, my parents were willing to pay tuition, but I had to pay for my room, board, and books, living expenses. Well, now I got some skin in the game. Like, am I going to mess around and have to borrow money? Or what am I going to do now? Because living at home's easy. I was working 20 or 30 hours a week, had all the spending money in the world, but now that money was going towards school. So I ended up taking student loans. The minute I had to take a loan for my living expenses, that was the minute I got really serious because I didn't want to hang around that long.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. And if you sit down and do a financial plan and you don't have the wherewithal to help your child at this point in time, it doesn't mean you can't help them in the future.
Isn't raising them help enough? I'm serious. I get so, like, I'm trying to raise these kids to be adults. Parents put too much, especially like after they've graduated high school and go to college. They put too much pressure on themselves to keep helping. Isn't raising them, like, isn't that enough help?
I mean, I think it's all personal preference, what people want to do. But I think the way you make the choices, am I putting myself at peril?
I agree. And I'm not going to hang my kids out to dry. And I'm always going to be like ready to help them. But I also want them to understand, like, you lived at my house for 18 or 19 years and we raised you to be who you are. Like, at some level, that's enough.
I can give you a good example, Elias. And this is a great personal example. We had kids later in life, right? I mean, we were almost 40. I was able to put myself in a position financially to be able to start a 529 plan and contribute a meaningful amount of money every month to do that. So my kids will have the money for college. If I had kids at 30, that's probably not the case.
Yeah,
I probably didn't save anything for college. Here's what I tell you. I probably wouldn't have saved anything until I was 40. So I would have had 10 years without much saved. And I've watched this. I have business owner clients of mine that, had kids younger that make all kinds of money. Their kids had like 45,000 in their 529 plan. Like, that's a good amount of money.
When their kids were young, they probably didn't have enough.
$50. They were doing $50. So, some of this depends where you are in life too. A lot of it depends on where you are in life. So I just was thinking about my personal example. At 30, if you said, hey, you got to put away $350 in a 529 plan for your kid, I'd be like, good luck. I like your example. All right. Well, Elias, I think this is a good show. I would encourage anybody listening to the show or watching it, please email us any questions you want answered. I think one of the great benefits to learning is when we answer your question, a lot of people have the same questions. And as we tackle them, I think we're helping more people. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. If you have any questions or need some help, you can click the link in the description. We'd be happy to get you set up with an advisor in our office to answer any questions or get a financial plan done for you. I want to thank everybody for listening.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide tax advice. Please consult your tax professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. There's no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. Rebalancing a portfolio may cause investors to incur tax liabilities and/or transaction costs, and does not assure a profit or protect against loss. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal. Dollar cost averaging involves continuous investment in securities regardless of fluctuations in price levels. Investors should consider their ability to continue purchasing through periods of low price levels. Such a plan does not assure a profit and does not protect against loss in declining markets. Consult your tax professional about eligibility to Roth and traditional IRA contributions. Contributions and earnings in a Roth IRA can be withdrawn without paying taxes and penalties if the account owner is at least 59.5 and has held their Roth IRA for at least 5 years. A plan participant leaving an employer typically has 4 options and may engage in a combination of these options, each choice offering advantages and disadvantages. Those options include leave the money in their former employer's plan if permitted, roll over the assets to their new employer's plan if one is available and rollovers are permitted, roll over to an IRA, or cash out the account value.